Alright, what's going on everybody? So one of the shows that has surprised me from this season's anime lineup is a fantasy series called The Dawn of the Witch. Some of you might not be aware of this, but that show is actually a sequel to a lesser known series called The Grimoire of Zero. Both of these anime are based off of light novels by Keikaru Kobushiri, but were produced by two different studios, Tezuka Productions and White Fox. White Fox, the studio behind Re:Zero and Steins Gate, worked on The Grimoire of Zero, which released in 2017. I never see people online bring this show up when discussing anime from the fantasy genre. Looking back, it's easy to see how this series got overlooked by so many people, since within that same year you had shows like Black Clover, Konosuba Season 2, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, Made in Abyss, the Saga of Tanya the Evil, the No Game No Life movie, and many other heavy hitters. Not to mention that great isekai anime like Re:Zero and Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash started airing a year prior. Nevertheless, since The Dawn of the Witch is out now, I'm sure some people dived right into the sequel without watching the original series. I did that myself a couple weeks ago, and to be honest, I think you can get into the show no problem without having seen the original anime. However, I'm sure there might be some people wondering, is The Grimoire of Zero even worth watching? And to answer simply, yes. Yes it is. While its writing and animation isn't as good as something like Grimgar or Re:Zero, it's still way better than a lot of the generic stuff we typically see from the genre. What makes The Grimoire of Zero so special is its unique lore and how it tackles common fantasy stuff in a different and interesting way. Before I elaborate, let me explain what this show is about for those unfamiliar with it. The series takes place during an ongoing war between witches and humans that sparked from the execution of a beloved witch named Sorna by the humans. A group called the Sorcerers of Zero massacred humans in retaliation for Sorna's death, and thus the conflict began. The story is centered on the journey of a witch who goes by the name of Zero and her beast fallen, referred to as Mercenary, that begin traveling together in search of a dangerous book called the Grimoire of Zero that could cause the end of the world if put in the wrong hands. In exchange for his protection, Zero agrees to make Mercenary human. Not long after they meet, a witch from the Sorcerers of Zero using the alias Albus accompanies them on their journey to find Zero's stolen book. As they continue traveling together, they soon discover the truth behind Sorna's death and the one who stole Zero's book, and began to spread a magic which has plunged the kingdom into chaos. With that brief synopsis out of the way, let's get into what exactly distinguishes Grimoire of Zero from other run-of-the-mill fantasy series. The first thing I noticed about this show is how different magic is generally perceived from the norm. In most shows, the practice of using magic is highly accepted and has been a natural aspect of most people's daily life for many years. However, in this show, most humans despise magic due to its misuse, which has caused the death of many innocent people. Another aspect that separates The Grimoire of Zero from other fantasy series is its setting. To be more specific, the time in which it takes place. The series is set during the time in which magic is still in its infancy or early days. Sorcery has been around for a while, but magic has just begun spreading throughout the world through the contents of The Grimoire of Zero. There is an explicit distinction made between magic and sorcery, with the latter relying more on the power of demons and requiring a magic circle to be drawn. The magic system isn't very complex, and it usually requires incantations like in other shows. However, the context for how those incantations are used and how the magic works is what ultimately makes it unique. Anyway, as I stated earlier, this show features things commonly seen in the genre but handled in a unique way. A perfect example of this is the lore behind the Beast Fallen. In many other series, creatures that look like anthropomorphic animals are a normal thing that everyone just accepts. In Grimoire of Zero, the Beast Fallen are men with the souls of beasts that were either turned into one by a witch or were born as one from normal human parents. The Beast Fallen are often feared by humans, but are tolerated as hired mercenaries to hunt down witches. There's a lot about the Beast Fallen lore and their history with the witches that's interesting, which I won't spoil. The harsh life of a Beast Fallen is conveyed through the many flashbacks to mercenaries' past, as well as an excellent line of dialogue from the character in the first episode. In addition to having unique lore, the show also features a small but likable main cast. The character interactions are always amusing, with Albus occasionally teasing Mercenary and Zero using him as a bed. Zero is such a cool character. I would almost describe her as being smug, but not necessarily in a bad way. She was born in a cave and therefore doesn't know a lot about the outside world. Mercenary is quick-tempered but a kind-hearted guy who isn't open with his emotions. Behind his gruff exterior is someone who cares about others. Mercenary wants to become human and open up a tavern one day. Albus initially went off on his own to try to get stronger and truly believes in what the Sorcerers of Zero are trying to accomplish. As for the main villain, he was just okay. His motivation for doing what he does is very weak, the plan was ill-conceived, and his ultimate goal is something I'm sure you've seen before. There are a couple of twists, one of which you may or may not see coming. One of them is hinted at a couple of times before it's revealed. The final act is good, with plenty of action and high stakes, as you might expect. The action scenes are animated well, but generally speaking, nothing amazing in terms of the overall production. Of course, there is some noticeable CGI in certain scenes, but they mostly use it where it made sense, such as during a couple of scenes during the final battle. All in all, like I stated previously, Grimoire of Zero is definitely worth checking out. It won't blow your mind or anything, but it's a solid fantasy series that stands out from other generic shows in the genre. The show shouldn't take you long to watch, it's only 12 episodes long. To be honest, I wish it was longer or at least had another season before The Dawn of the Witch. Anyway, go watch the show if you haven't, and if you have, let me know what you guys thought about it in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. I'm out of here. Peace.